In a world of horror, countless hours of cinema, what is truly terrifying? What will keep the kids up at night? What scene can never be unseen? Join us as we watch everything horror and discover the 13 degrees of screams.
Welcome to 13 Degrees of Screams.
We're your hosts, Stephanie.
And Alex.
And this week we entered the Never Ever and Imaginary.
So, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I know this is a newer movie, so I think I know the answer. But have you seen Imaginary before we decided to cover it on the podcast?
No, obviously not.
I know. I just had to ask. You never know. You may have been like, you know what? I want to see Imaginary. And then we're like, let's cover it. And you're like, oh my God, I just saw that.
Yeah, I guess true. But
you never know.
I don't know. We watch so many horror movies now that, like, why wouldn't I outsource it to the podcast? Why would I waste my time?
I know. It's one of those things, like, if we're going to watch a new horror movie, we
might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Like, it's like, oh, am I ever going to watch a horror movie for fun now? Probably never,
I find
ever.
The podcast fun with you, though.
Never, ever.
Oh, okay, it's just not fun.
I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, so I suggested Imaginary because I heard terrible, terrible things about it. And I'm like, wow, now we have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you like it then?
I actually didn't mind it. I know that's not the popular opinion, but I didn't read into what everyone was not liking about it, but I didn't think it was awful. I thought that it was a more unique concept compared to like some horror movies, and didn't hate the overall like visual effects just because I thought of it more that it correlated with a child's imagination.
You heard it here, folks. Stephanie was the only one to like the movie. No,
I didn't hate it.
Nick actually didn't hate it either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. You didn't like it. Tell us why.
I just thought it was boring.
Okay.
And the dialogue just felt so off to me. The characters were not likable to me.
Yeah.
The old lady was just thrown in there, felt like last minute to give some exposition and then twist. I don't know. It just felt like a mess. Like, the idea of it was really cool. Some of the visuals were really cool. I liked the idea of the Never Ever. It had the makings of something interesting, but somehow they just kind of like...
Yeah.
It just didn't come together, in my opinion. And like, some of it didn't make sense. And oh my God, there's just one part with the therapist. I want to smack her. What a stupid ass question you just asked right now.
What did she ask her?
We will get there when we get there. But I was like, what the hell? Anyways, so like, okay, let me back it up. I didn't like hate it. And I think more people were hating on it more than I would, which after I just said all that, it ended up just being more boring to me, which is like, again, I'd rather watch a really bad movie that's at least entertaining than a bad movie that just kind of bored me.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh my God, what's happening? What's this bear? What's the deal? Okay. Once we got to the Never Ever, it got a little bit more interesting, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess maybe what I would say is that since I had already heard that it was not good, that my expectation was already down here.
Oh, okay. That's
so
fair.
Then when it wasn't like awful, I was just like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. And maybe I'm the opposite, where I was a little biased because I heard it was bad. So now my mind was saying this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that
you had to find the bad thing.
Yeah. So I could have very well been a little bit tainted that way, where I'm just like looking for the bad. So that's always an option. But I was just kind of just bored with it. And then like the older daughter was just, I get that she's trying to be not edgy, but because she's a stepmom and there's always that trope of like, the
kids not bonding with your stepmom and stuff.
I get it, but it's just like, okay, I understand. I get it. We've seen this 1,000,001 times.
Yeah, that relationship is the same, but I just felt like, especially for this concept, it could have gone so predictable, and I liked where it went with it.
Interesting. Despite you saying this was very similar to another movie.
Yeah.
You're like, this is just that movie. So original.
Right. Well, it's had 20 years, so... Let's just do it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. Are you ready to go into some movie background?
Sure.
Imaginary is a 2024 American supernatural horror film directed and produced by Jeff Wadlow and written by Wadlow with a writing team of Greg Erb and Jason Ormland. It was co-produced by Jason Blum through his Blumhouse Productions banner and Tower of Babel. The movie features a cast including DeWanda Wise, Tom Payne, Tegan Burns, and Piper Brown. The story revolves around a woman who returns to her childhood home and uncovers the unsettling truth that her stepdaughter's imaginary friend is more than just a figment of her imagination. Lionsgate released Imaginary in the United States on March 8th in 2024, but it received predominantly negative reviews from critics. Despite this, the film has managed to gross over $38 million in the box office, with $27.8 million coming from the United States and Canada, an additional $10.8 million from other territories. Imaginary has a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes, with a critical consensus that states, Imaginary's core concept is solid enough to produce a handful of scares, but too much of its potential is lost in cliched story that gets bogged down in world building. Yada-da-da, 24. We've covered way worse, or movies that got way less.
Honestly, though, I can't believe it only came out like a little over a month ago. It feels like it was out a lot longer. Or maybe I saw the preview for it so long ago, it feels like it was out sooner than that.
It does, because I remember seeing it. I actually really wanted to see this in theaters, which we just never got around to seeing it. But I'm glad I did not.
Yeah. I do regret renting it for as much money as I could pay, because still new, so it has that new Amazon Prime streaming.
You could have just bought it at that point.
I should have, but I didn't think I'd want it for keeps.
That's fair. You know what I thought maybe the problem was, partially?
Yeah.
Instead of framing it as a horror movie, I feel like they should have leaned into like a dark fantasy, which is like horror adjacent, but I feel like they try to lean too much into it being a horror movie. Like you should have just made it more fantastical.
With a dark element.
With a dark twist.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have really helped.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I mean, again, in the end, we'll talk about it. They go into the other world. Like, you might as well have just played that up.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. That's what I was thinking, like, after the movie. Like, I just feel like it was a wrong category.
Yeah. I will say that, especially when you taunt the fact that you'll be going into another world, that you should probably try to spend more time in the other world as well. So, that's also a little bit more, I guess, of a critique that like to see more of what's going on over there rather than like we know what every day looks like, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like I was fine with how long they were in the other world, but seeing more magic happen throughout the movie, because like you don't really see much until they get there, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now all of it is kind of butted up at the end. You could have like spread out some of the fantastic elements, make it more playful. It always seems like there's this overall dread.
Yeah, just because they want to go for a hard, like, this is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been more like a Where the Wild Things was like that kind of.
Where the Wild Things are?
Yeah, it was like a little bit like a darker, like the monsters want to eat the kid at the end and stuff like that.
Yeah, that movie was just bizarre. It had a weird tone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see something like that.
I never actually watched the movie, but I know the book.
Oh.
But I'm assuming it's similar, obviously, because that's what the book's about. No, not really?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, maybe it's not a good comparison.
I see what you're saying, though, because it's a very bizarre movie. Yeah. It's weird. The tone is weird. But yeah.
Or like a decom. Or like a certain decom.
Yeah, what's it called? You want to say it?
Don't Look Under the Bed.
Don't Look Under the Bed. One of my favorite decoms of all time. It's basically a bad version of that, in my opinion.
More expensive version.
More expensive for sure. But that movie's like fun. I feel like they should have had more fun with this movie.
Yeah.
They tried some comedy in there. It just fell flat.
Right.
In my opinion. But that's what I wanted to say. That was my thought with it. How I would have made it better for me.
Yes.
For me. For me, in my opinion.
For me.
For me.
Are you ready to get into the plot?
Begrudgingly.
Yes. We start off as a bloody Jessica escapes from a crawl space in the wall, and we hear something coming out after her. Suddenly, her father appears looking crazed and tells her she can't see her friend anymore when a creature attacks him. She runs and hides in a bedroom and is cornered by a huge spider monster right before screaming herself awake.
I was not expecting that. I'm like, spider monster?
I know.
And a bear? I was all confused.
I know. I was like, so that's what it really looks like?
Ooh, that's not
it
what
takes
I
like
thought.
a couple of forms, and I was like, so what's its true form?
Invisible. I don't know.
Right. She discusses the nightmare with her husband, and we learn it's a recurring issue. Jessica is a children's author, which is inspired by her dreams, as there's a spider character named Simon that's an antagonist in her story, and is newly married to musician Max, who has 2 daughters. Taylor and Alice from a previous marriage. The family is currently in the process of moving into Jessica's childhood home, where a younger stepdaughter, Alice, finds a discarded bear she calls Chauncey.
Chauncey.
I don't like that. Please don't do that.
Chauncey.
Don't like that. And quickly becomes attached to it. The elderly neighbor, Gloria, introduces herself as Jessica's childhood babysitter and tries to share memories with her that makes Jessica uncomfortable and confused, considering she doesn't remember and her father is mentally unwell, so she doesn't really want to think about times like that.
Yeah, and this lady just comes out of nowhere. And
she's like, you were so creative and Dad's so weird.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. And also, I'm not going to say musicians can't make money. And I know, this is her father's childhood home, so do you think, she just got it? It was paid off and it's yours now.
Yeah, I kind of think that's what's going on. Or it's just in the family, so there's not really much concern. But it's a decent house.
It's a big house. Yeah, I thought it was a nice size.
Mm-hmm.
And it's here you go.
Yeah. And I think it's more or less that her father almost probably still owns it. He's just not using it. That's the thing.
That's fair. Yeah. That's a good thought. Because I was they can't afford that.
When Max leaves on tour, Jessica becomes suspicious of Alice's relationship with Chauncey, as she is now more secretive and isolated, busying herself with a scavenger hunt list Chauncey created. One day, Jessica leaves to visit her father in a nursing home, and he attacks her, claiming she disappeared, that she was taken from him. Meanwhile, teenage stepdaughter Taylor invites over a neighbor boy named Liam, and when he tries to touch Alice's things from her scavenger hunt, she gets upset. When he's alone upstairs, Chauncey intimidates him and briefly turns into a monstrous bear.
Do we also want to talk about the fact he tried to give the one daughter drugs? You find out it's just allergy medicine.
Yeah, but he's really pushing it.
What? Why? Why did we do that?
Right.
That was so out of left field.
I don't know. I guess it was to give the idea that he was a bad boy.
But
I don't know. It wasn't.
That, you could have taken.
He was just trying to make himself look cool to her. I don't know.
For what reason?
I don't know. She wasn't interested, so it didn't matter.
That sounds unless it was trying to reveal more information about her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, she's not actually as bad as she seems.
I think that's what it was trying to go
But it was
for.
just because he's
neither is he technically.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
He's just a dumbass.
They should have just made it actual drug. What did he say it was? Molly? I couldn't remember. And it was on his tongue for the longest time. That would have dissolved by the time. He's want to do it. And he sticks out his tongue. I'm what are you doing?
I'm such a weirdo.
I know. I was this is dumb. This whole scene's stupid.
Honestly, she seems so over him. After he offered the drugs, I was why don't you just kick him out?
Right. And she legitimately wanted to watch a movie.
Right.
She's want to watch a movie? And she actually meant that.
Yeah, for sure.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. But I was
yeah, she knows her worth.
This whole scene was so strange.
When Jessica returns, she scolds Taylor for having a boy over and narrowly saves Alice from slamming her hand into the end of a nail. She still manages to cut herself, though, just so we know that a hurt thing happened.
Yeah. It's important.
Mm-hmm. Jessica calls over a child psychologist, Dr. Soto, who worked with Alice before when her parents separated, and Dr. Soto encourages her to talk out her feelings with Chauncey, but he becomes threatening, saying that he's going to take her to the realm of never ever. Do you want to talk about the stupid thing she asked her?
Yeah, that's fine. So this dumbass, literally, Chauncey's first of all, I give props to the little girl in this scene. She's doing a really good job crying and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She turns around. She fucking hears Chauncey's voice, right?
Right.
Yeah. She literally goes up to Jessica. Has your daughter taken up ventriloquism? No,
obviously not.
I was what kind of stupid ass question is that? I was this woman needs to be fired.
Right.
There's no reaction to her watching Alice freak the fuck out. She's just kind of watching.
Yeah.
I'm do you see something really crazy is happening right now? Something, and she's just ventriloquism? That's your diagnosis?
Yeah. I think it's more or less just I guess just in case, but yeah, it was far-fetched.
I was no.
And she's not really there to help either way. She just kind of makes some realizations for Jessica. Yeah. So when she relays the session back to Jessica, she realizes that only Jessica and Alice can see the bear. This prompts the doctor to show Jessica another case of a past patient who used the same phrase as Alice, never ever. It's a phenomenon, apparently, in what she's seen in counseling, where children develop an attachment to an imaginary friend, talk about going on a trip to Never Ever, and end up disappearing. Shortly after this, Alice disappears.
BT dubs. Then she's gone.
Yeah, and, same afternoon. Not even waiting.
And also, I don't understand, why did the bear have to be also not... I feel like it would have made more sense that the bear was still seen, and it was, attached to the bear, not, the bear... Was the bear the entity? Or was it, You know what I'm saying? What was the bear then?
No. I guess, yeah, the bear is the entity, but it can also choose when it's seen. I don't know. I also thought it was funny, too. They kept on saying Chauncey is her imaginary friend. I was like, no, Chauncey is her stuffed bear because it's a physical thing. So you can still talk to your stuffed bear, but it's not a imaginary friend to me is something you can't visualize, or, everyone else can't.
Well, yeah, for sure. So they both, but because it's not really.
But then to actually find out it's not there, then it's more legit as an imaginary friend,
right?
At least.
What? Also, we kind of didn't talk about this, but the daughter's real mom at some point comes into the house and freaks them out. And again,
I didn't even know where to put that. Honestly, it was so small.
Well, right. I just want to talk about that because again, that's just was another scene. Why did you put that in there?
Yeah.
What was the point?
Another note, because I like to compare it to other notes online, someone called Max a widower, and I was like, no, she's alive.
She's alive.
She's just not okay.
Yeah. And then, so we kind of get a glimpse at something not right with her, and then there's just...
Not talked about, really, but I guess at one point she attacked Alice, and that's why they separated.
Yeah.
It's very similar, we learned, to how Jessica ended up being separated from her father.
Mm-hmm.
So it's was this something that's been going on since Alice was a baby to bring Jessica back to Chauncey?
No,
are they saying the long haul game?
Yeah, I don't think so. I just feel like it would have just made more sense to make him a widower.
Yeah.
Why did we have to include that element?
Right. It's just to make a creepy scene, honestly.
That was another thing. Why did that happen?
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not that, we talked about it in other movies of scenes that should not be there, but for whatever reason, that was what are we doing?
Yeah, she was literally in and out of the house within 2 minutes, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
I just wanted to bring that up just because I had a gripe with it.
Yeah.
But there's that too.
Yeah, that's fair. So after Alice vanishes, Taylor blames Jessica because Jessica's kind of going through it, with these, recovering these memories, but also not being able to be present and being like, Alice is not here. But Jessica's like, I'm going to make it all about me. Yeah. This happened to me. I'm like, girl, I respect your journey, but there's a kid missing.
Alice who? Whomst?
Yes.
Don't know her. She doesn't go here.
She went where?
Yeah.
Where who?
Oh, well.
Right. Taylor goes out to search the neighborhood because she doesn't even believe any of this whole never ever business. She thinks she ran away because Jessica is being overbearing as a stepmother and ends up running into Gloria. She tells Taylor that Chauncey was also Jessica's imaginary friend as a child. Gloria has done extensive research and written on imaginary friends, explaining that they are spirits who tether to the young and can become sinister if abandoned.
Have you now?
Yes.
Okay, Gloria.
Right.
We're just waiting for the moment Jessica returns.
Mm-hmm.
She was just I hope she comes back.
Yes. That's what she says, essentially.
Well, exactly. But what if she never did?
Right.
Gloria, you're old. You don't got much time. What are you doing?
Just looking outside all the time, any moving vans?
Yeah, she made it her whole ass personality after this happened.
Mm-hmm. The thing that kind of threw me off is at one point she said that Jessica asked her to come with her at one point to the Never Ever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, huh? That was the weird thing for the writing for me, I guess, out of the whole plot. She's like, you asked me to come and I was too scared. And I was like, so wait, you're telling me you saw the door in the wall open to a different world? The kid said, can you come with me? And you were like, nah, you go. Good luck.
Right.
You didn't tell her, let's all just stay here. I'm going to go with you. No, no, you do this journey on your own.
Gloria was all about free range
parenting.
Yeah. So she was like, you're going to find out. Gloria's like, not my kid.
This recovering of memories, Jessica goes through her old belongings and finds drawings of Chauncey and the Never Ever. All three women complete Chauncey's scavenger hunt together, resulting in a glowing door leading to the never-ever realm. This is an extensive list. I'm like, this is a lot to do, even for a child.
And then one of it's like something that hurts. And was it the one Taylor who suggested sending a bitchy tweet or a bitchy text?
Yes.
I'm like, was that meant to be funny?
I think so.
I'm like, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Something that hurt. And what did Jessica actually do?
She at first just...
Oh, she stabbed herself with a scissor.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. And she ended up having to basically tell Taylor, you are the problem.
She told her the fucking truth. I'm like, get it, Jessica. She needs to hear it.
And that worked. But also, she had to do something that they never covered what it was, something that would get her in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And we never found out what that was for her.
Yeah. But then also, so something that hurts. So Jessica said that to Taylor. Did it hurt Jessica to say that, even though she didn't really mean it? She kind of just said it to get...
She knows it's her own truth. I think it's just hard for her to say it.
She's like, I meant that.
Yeah, no, she means it.
Oh, damn.
I think she means it. It just hurts to say it because she's an adult and she knows it would hurt her feelings, I think.
If I were Taylor, I'd be like, bye. Like, damn. That was rough. Mm-hmm. But I was just like, who did that really hurt?
But anyway, if anything, Taylor respects her more for it, I think, honestly.
Yes. I mean, she's like, that was good you said that, but you obviously didn't mean it, right?
And she's like,
Jessica.
Jessica's like, I'm not going to say anything.
I plead the fifth.
So in the never-ever realm, they find Jessica's repressed memories. As a child, she was lured by Chauncey into the never-ever. Ben had rescued her father, but became mad after looking into Chauncey's eyes, supposedly seeing every child's imagination, and it overwhelmed him, is what Gloria described it as. And I'm like, huh?
It's like Cthulhu in our one episode. We talked about. It's like you saw the beyond
you went
reality.
Too far.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. That's kind of a cool concept, I think.
Mm-hmm. Jessica was sent to live with her grandparents afterwards. When inside the never-ever, Gloria quickly closes the escape route, having become obsessed with the realm. And she's like, I just can't wait to stay. We could stay here forever. It's literally your imagination. I'm like, no.
You can.
No, I mean, not for us.
Yeah, how about you stay? Like, Taylor's like, bitch, I don't know you. Like,
and it's not like, I don't know. It's more doors and hallways and stuff, so it doesn't seem as fantastical to me as I would imagine a place called a never-ever.
Right. Like, when you get there, so yeah, it's like blue, and there's like some clouds above.
Yeah.
It's like light, and
I guess the doors open into different places and stuff, but still it's not like...
You're banking on the fact you're going to find a good door.
Yeah.
Because, like, if I found a really cool place, then sure. But in that hallway, I'm like, this ain't it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be here.
It's kind of creepy, honestly, the hallway itself.
That should have been a red flag. But Gloria's like, this is my life. Mm-hmm. This is my...
And she's immediately... And she admits this has been her end goal the whole time. Like, she teamed up with Chauncey to somehow bring Jessica back.
She did not team up with Chauncey because
well, Chauncey betrayed her is the thing. Chauncey got what he wanted, and
she worked with Chauncey.
That's kind of what she said. She's like, I knew I had to get you back here to end up coming to this never ever.
But do you think she did that on her own volition? Or Chauncey was like, thanks, I guess. Like, I didn't ask you to do that, but cool.
I guess. I don't know. She made it seem like Chauncey came to her, I think, but
in a vision.
But maybe not. Maybe it was just like, this is how I get it back.
I don't know. This whole Gloria character, I was like, oh my God.
She's literally here again for 5 minutes.
You're the worst. Yeah, she just came in to explain everything and then cause a problem.
Twist, I'm the villain. Like,
that's kind of what it felt like. I'm like, yeah. Like, we have Chauncey. We're good. We don't need her to screw everything up.
Yes.
We really didn't need that.
So she's quickly mauled by Chauncey right after.
BT dubs, she's fucking dead.
I was just like, that sucks.
I was like, she got her kabumpets so fast. Right.
Jessica stops Chauncey by stabbing him in the eye with scissors. Oh, by the way, when Chauncey mauls Gloria, I was like, are there other creatures here? That's what makes sense to me. I feel like when the psychologist shows the video of another kid speaking of the never ever, he doesn't call his imaginary friend Chauncey. He calls him like Randy Rabbit or something like that. So I was like, that implies that there's other imaginary friends making this never ever world go. You saying that there's ones that are just not involved in this situation right here?
Unless the Never Ever is like this nebulous idea where like you go to the Never Ever, but it's your like own pocket of the Never Ever where only you and your imaginary friend exist.
I guess.
So it's like more of maybe the Never Ever is not like one entire thing, but more of an idea. Like the Never Ever is specific to you and your imaginary friend.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
They don't say.
I guess that's true.
I don't know. But also, we haven't really talked about Chauncey in this current form. He's like a big old nightmare bear
with sharp teeth.
Big thorny teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got Spider Guy, Spider-Man, and now we have thorny teeth bear.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
He's a big old scared bear now.
Yes. After she stabs Chauncey, she thinks that she has Taylor and Alice, and she gets them through the doorway, and it seems like, they're all good.
Yay.
And then it flashes to them with Max and Ben at Ben's institution. And she realizes she's still stuck in the Never Ever. And everyone gets like these button eyes that are real like bulgy.
They're like spidery eyes.
I guess.
But only one. They're like big round black balls.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
Like popping out of their skulls. And I'm like, why is this the thing? And I guess it's because it's Chauncey making them. I don't know.
Yeah, because they're not real. They're not really them.
Right.
So
and
you could project images?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I guess that's what he was doing with Alice, because when they find Alice, she's in their old apartment, I guess, with her mom having like a tea party or something like that with gifts and a dress. And then her mom's like, oh, everyone can stay here with us. But then as soon as they start talking about like, no, we got to go, she comes out with the black eyes too.
Yeah. And then that was before
they stabbed Chauncey.
Yeah.
They just kind of got away from him. Taylor was being cornered by him and was going to be attacked. And Jessica kind of like stabbed him through the wall.
Yeah. So when they find Alice backing up a little bit, she's like, I don't want to leave. This is amazing. Blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, we got to go. She's like, you're right. Like, she just switches her mindset so immediately. I'm like, okay. They just started like putting all blue shit on the wall, which is what made the door. This makes no damn sense if you haven't seen the movie.
Well, because it's an imagination. Your imagination can do anything kind of thing.
Well, if that's the case, I'm just going to imagine a door in the wall and I'm going to leave.
Right.
Like, okay.
And also, I guess I need to talk about, we get that why Chauncey wants them there, because like their imagination, like, feeds him. He's always hungry, like it keeps his world going or whatever. Mm-hmm. Why would a kid want to leave, honestly? As long as he's just keeping everything hunky-dory, not attacking family members that visit the Never Ever, why would you want to leave? I don't even think Alice even has a good reason to go, really, and then she just changes her mind.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, if you're a kid and you're in there, like, I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
So it's only really the adult that's like, hey,
it's scary, it's weird.
It's basically like abducting your child and never seeing them again.
Yeah, not saying it's not wrong.
Oh,
it's just
yeah, no,
what kind of motivation does a kid have to leave?
They don't. And I think that's the sinister part about it.
Yeah.
Because like, as an adult, like, oh shit, my child's gone. But to the kid, this is like great. This is amazing. So like to the kid, it's not bad. It
makes me wonder what happened to the kids that stayed.
I don't know. Do you think they grew up?
I think eventually it's kind of like being stuck in like a Groundhog Day situation. Like you realize like there's been time that's passed and eventually you'll be like, wow, I haven't seen my parents in a while. And that's probably when it gets dark again. And maybe the imaginary friend attacks you.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because if you grow up to a certain age, that begs the question, like, do you just naturally lose your imagination? Or do we, like, as adults, lose our imagination because we're just gotten older, we're more jaded, and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But if you live in that world where it's just whatever you want, do you just naturally keep that imagination?
You still can see them, yeah.
So
obviously, Jessica still can.
Right. So it doesn't really matter the age? Like, you could just indefinitely live there as long as you're still fueling the imagination.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what they wanted for Jessica.
Right.
That's really the whole plan, honestly. Chauncey wants Jessica. It's not really about Alice.
Yeah.
Alice was like a decoy.
Just take Alice.
Yeah.
She was more than capable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, is Jessica that special? I mean, they make it out to seem like she just has the biggest imagination. She wrote a book about bugs.
Yeah.
Millie Millipede. I'm like, okay, that's not that special. I don't know.
You ain't that special.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, you ain't that special, Jessica.
Either way.
Sorry, yeah, let's finish up this plot. I digress. There's just so many possibilities, which I think is the fun part of the movie, is where it could have gone.
Yeah.
And like the questions that we have.
Yeah, I'm just really curious about the Randy Rabbit kid. I was like, so what's your deal going on? Like,
Randy Rabbit's like, well, fuck, I guess.
I guess we're just hanging out forever now.
Yeah.
So Chauncey used Alice as bait to get Jessica and seek revenge for her abandonment of him. And he's trying to force her to stay. Otherwise, he'll go after the rest of the family. But suddenly, Taylor saves her, and Chauncey transforms into his true form, akin to Simon the Spider. The spider tries to turn them insane with his eyes, but Alice sets the creature on fire and steals him behind the door. The family escapes as the house burns to the ground.
Bye.
And I don't know. They didn't need to do this. They could have just ended with the house burning, but they check into a hotel, but are frightened by seeing a child playing with a teddy bear that resembles Chauncey and quickly leave for their own safety.
That was dumb. That reminded me of the ending of Poltergeist when they go to the motel and then they push out the TV.
Yes.
I was like, I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
The idea behind this and everything that they had, I felt like this was like a first draft.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been so cool. First of all, you only see two forms of this thing. You see a bear and a spider thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give it more forms to take.
Yeah.
And see throughout the movie. That would have been cool.
Right. Well, I don't know exactly. There was at times where he looked almost humanish because there were several scenes where she was like, I don't know, reading something about what Alice was doing or whatever. And there was like this gray-headed man-like thing standing behind her. And I thought, it was more of like a, I don't know, like alienish looking thing rather than a spider or a bear.
Right. So that wasn't his true form either. Does it have a true form or does it just pick whatever sounds great that day?
I guess it just seems like it's having a lot of fun with that.
It's having fun with those three forms. I don't know. I just felt like we could have seen more.
Yeah.
Like, again, just leaning into the fantasy element helped it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's for me.
So how would you rank Imaginary on our new scale? And would you like to remind everybody our rating system?
Yeah,
again?
we'll do it again. So Family Fun Time 1 to 3. These are movies that are appropriate for children. A little scary, but I'll deal. That's 4 through 6. So that's like first step into something that's actually considered a horror movie for a little bit older audiences, teenage-ish, PG-13 movies. Is There Something Behind Me rating that's between 7 and 9. So those are movies that after you watch it, maybe you're going to bed and you hear something and it might freak you out a little bit. You might have like a little bit of a nightmare. That's where those movies lie. I Can't Unsee This, 10 through 12. So those are movies you might be covering your eyes, can't watch the screen right now. It's a little bit too much for me. A lot's going on. So that's where I Can't Unsee This. And then of course, the top 13, I'd rather just die. I don't want to see this again. It's fine. I'm good without seeing this ever again.
I have literally been scared to death.
I've been literally scared to death.
Yeah.
So I would give this movie, you swayed me on the way here, I would give it a 4.
Thank you.
Just one tick above Family Fun Time because this almost feels like a little bit more advanced Goosebumps episode.
Yes.
It's like there's a little bit of gore at the very end when the lady's mauled, but there's nothing super scary about it. It's just a bear spider creature depending on what form it takes.
Yeah, but I could see it freaking out like a little kid.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like under 10 or something would be a little much, I think.
Yeah, there's a few jump scares. So it's rated PG-13, which I think is completely appropriate for this movie.
Yeah, but I could definitely see like all the little teeny boppers going to see it.
Little teeny boppers.
Yeah, like their first PG-13 movie or something,
Yeah. So I would say if you're a child or you're a parent, you're like, okay, you're beyond like a Goosebumps or like whatever horror. Do they even have like kids horror shows these days?
I'm sure.
I don't even know. Like maybe like Stranger Things is a lot. Like maybe.
Yeah.
It's even along the lines of that, I would say. I would say Stranger Things is a little bit scarier sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
At moments. So it's definitely okay, I would say, for like even like a 10-year-old to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a good step if they can
as long as they've handled horror stuff before.
Right.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 10-year-olds definitely wouldn't be able to deal with this, honestly. This would be too much. I didn't like jump scares. I didn't like to be scared at all.
Okay.
So Yeah.
That's fair.
Like, I was scared of Voldemort for enough time.
Oh, snap. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was baby.
Baby.
A baby with no monies.
With no monies. But, so you agree with the 4?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good stepping stone.
But I would like to compare it to the decom now.
Do it.
Please, thank you. Okay, so this is, I'm going to rant a little bit. This is basically a more expensive version of Don't Look Under the Bed, the Disney Channel movie. And if you haven't seen it, literally same thing except a teenager. So teenager, has some weird occurrences going on at school. She meets this guy that's like, hey, I'm an imaginary friend and I'm gonna help you. You got this boogeyman after you. And she's like, I don't believe you. This kind of stuff. More weird shit keeps happening. Kind of like harmless little pranks, but sometimes creepy things. Yeah, like you see like little fingers sometimes with little sharp nails.
Oh, the fingies.
Yeah, the fingies.
I want the fingies.
Yeah. Or like some pale purple skin every once in a while, just like
little flashes of skin.
Yeah, clips.
Oh my
Little
God.
scandal.
Scandal.
But it ultimately culminates with her brother being kidnapped from under the bed and taken into an imaginary world where the teenager has to go and fight the boogeyman to get her friend back. Guess who the boogeyman is? It's her imaginary friend.
Yeah.
He's just mad. Well, she, actually.
Yes.
She's just mad. This character is very androgynous, by the way.
Yeah.
But she is just upset because after, I don't know, like her parents divorced or something. I don't remember what incident.
Her brother was sick.
Oh, yes. Her brother was sick. She matured and forgot all about her imaginary friend. Yeah. And apparently, if you disregard them and just don't ever talk to them again and cut them off, they become evil.
The boogeyman.
Literally.
What an amazing concept.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
And
I love that movie.
We also find that that's happening to her little imaginary friend that's trying to help her through this as well. Like, we find out he's kind of like her brother's imaginary friend in correspondence.
Yeah. So in imaginary, the imaginary friend is the same one, but in Don't Look on the Bed, we have 2 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit difference there.
Yes. And in imaginary, like, they're already, like, full-blown, like, evil and stuff like that. This, we see more transformation into evil, and we also have an evil one behind the scenes until we face him for, like, the boss battle.
Right. Which I feel like this Disney Channel movie fleshed out the characters and the lore and the story so much better.
And it was shorter, too.
It was shorter?
Decoms are, like, what, an hour 20?
Yeah, something like that.
Not even, maybe.
Yeah, it's just so much better.
Yeah.
Like, just skip this, and if you've never seen that movie, go watch that.
I will say, though, that in comparison, Imaginary is a better ending in the sense of just let the imaginary friend die, because she, makes up with her imaginary friend and, remembers them. And eventually, like, they kind of just move on because they've made their peace. But wouldn't you always be side-eyeing, like, that imaginary friend and being like, oh, I hope they don't feel abandoned by me. Like, I still remember them, I don't want you to be bad again.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, they turn back. And, like, the natural progression is you're supposed to grow up and naturally fade away from your imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm.
Where she, like...
Which they kind of have a nice, like, peaceful goodbye in that sense. But it also just makes me think, like, but if you forget about them, this could happen again.
Her imaginary friend's going to be sitting at home being like, you know what? I'll remember. She, like, starts thinking about it again. No, that really pissed me off.
Oh, right. Turns
when you start,
purple
like,
again. And
ruminating on things again. Like, you thought you were over something, and you're like, you know what? Fuck her. And
I'm going to steal her brother back.
I'm not done. She needs to learn.
Right. So I think it would be a little too far for, I guess, Chauncey to come back at this point after especially messing up her dad for life.
Yeah, I guess he got burned. Like, he died? I don't know. Like, I guess he...
Well, he's just not okay for the rest of his life. That's what they're saying. Like, he can't even.
Okay. I guess it's tied to the house. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so, because that was the only way.
Yeah, the only way.
But there's still their imaginary friends out there. We just have to hope that they're not also separated from their kids. Otherwise, they'd be bad. That's the crazy thing to me.
They never seemed good to begin with.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing to me. I was like, so is all of their goal to always take them to the never ever? Or is it only after they're bad because then they have, ill intentions?
Yeah, because they made that
them from
kid.
their family?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You had a lot of open-ended things here.
It just seems like that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck, all these. And then that begs the question, like, every kid had an imaginary friend, I feel. Like, everyone, right? Did you have an imaginary friend?
Oh, yeah, we didn't ask about that.
Oh, yeah, we didn't ask about that.
I have an active imagination, I would say. I don't think I ever had, like, a consistent imaginary friend. Sometimes, if I was bored in school, I would sometimes, like, picture having, like, a dog next to my desk or something like that. But never, like, a consistent, like, now I'm going to go to a restaurant with my imaginary dog. Now I'm going to go to this with my imaginary dog. Like, a constant one. How about you?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think the closest thing I had to that, and I think it was just an obsession I had with someone from Barney.
Oh.
There was this girl named Tina, apparently. I don't remember any of this shit, but my parents tell me about it all the time. There was this girl named Tina on Barney, and I was like obsessed with her. I think specifically her hair.
Oh.
So if there's any question that I was a homo, it was that. I would literally, I guess.
It's like, you're a hair girl.
I guess I would take like towels or something long and stringy, and I'd put it in my hand, and I would just play with it. And I called it my Tina.
That's adorable.
I would also put like a towel on my head to have long hair.
Oh, okay. And you'd be like, I'm Tina.
I'm Tina. Is that weird?
A little bit, but different.
Anything like a cloth, like a towel, anything that was long and drapey, I would carry it and it'd be Tina.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the closest thing. I have no recollection of any of that. Just like an inanimate object. I don't know. Yeah. Like, bitches, it's Tina. This is my... I don't know. It was weird.
I had like attachment items like that, like cloth diapers, I guess, had just kind of gone out of style or whatever right before I was born. So my parents got cloth diapers, obviously not used ones or anything, but I had like a bunch of these that I called my towelly, and I would twist the little strings that they had on the tops. I don't know, like while I was sleeping, apparently. It was a thing, like had to have one when I went to sleep and stuff like that. Apparently, my grandma thought it would be cool to cut the strings off. Like, that's not needed.
Okay.
In case I got hurt or something. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely not what you do with that.
Don't you touch it.
Right. And I freaked out. But that was like my only like attachment item, I think.
That's right. So you used to twist like the thing?
Mm-hmm.
I do that still to this day with straw wrappers.
Yeah.
Like when I'm out to eat.
Oh,
tie them.
Same, yeah.
They're all over the
It's
table.
very comforting. I don't know.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And then there's those little pieces all tied. I'll twist it and then make little ties.
I'll take other people's, twist them. Yep.
Okay. I'm glad we're both crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'd never met anyone else who does that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought it was common to do.
Maybe just not the people I hang around with. Not saying I'm so special that I do that, but I can't not do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This went further than I thought it would.
I know. Well, talking about imagination, like you just go down a rabbit hole on what this could be.
Right. So would you like to hear about imaginary friends and imaginary friend lore?
Sure.
Imaginary friends are companions created by children in their minds. They often emerge during early childhood as a way for kids to explore their imagination, cope with loneliness, or navigate complex emotions. These friends can take various forms, from humans to animals or even fantastical creatures, and they can be a source of comfort, amusement, or support for the child. Research suggests that imaginary friends are a normal part of development and contribute positively to a child's social and cognitive development by enhancing creativity, empathy, and problem-solving skills. While some children outgrow their imaginary friends as they mature, others may continue to cherish these companions into adulthood. Overall, imaginary friends offer children a safe space to express themselves and navigate the complexities of growing up. So imaginary friends have often been a subject of folklore and cultural narratives for centuries, often portrayed as mystical companions or spirits that accompany children on their journeys. In various cultures, there are stories of supernatural beings or mythical creatures that resemble imaginary friends. For example, in Japanese folklore, there's the concept of tsukumogami, which are objects that come to life after being used for a long time, sometimes taking on the form of imaginary friends. In Western folklore, there are tales of guardian angels or fairy companions that children interact with, providing them with guidance and protection. These imaginary friends are often depicted as wise and benevolent beings who offer support and companionship to children in times of need. Throughout history, imaginary friends have also been the subject of literature and art, with authors and artists exploring the concept in various ways. From children's books to psychology studies, imaginary friends have captured the imagination of people across different cultures and generations, highlighting their significance in human experience and creativity. So I did a little bit of lore on demons latching on to children because this is sort of like combined.
Basically,
like
what's
imaginary friends
happening.
are entities are imaginary friends, entities are kind of demons. So we got there.
Yeah. Connect the dots.
The lore surrounding demons latching onto children spans various cultures and belief systems, often rooted in mythology, folklore, and religious teachings. In many traditions, demons are depicted as malevolent entities seeking to cause harm or possess individuals, including children. Some beliefs suggest that children, being more innocent and vulnerable, may be targeted by demons as easier targets for possession and manipulation. In folklore, demons are often portrayed as entities that prey on the weak or those who are spiritually vulnerable, such as children who may be experiencing fear or trauma or emotional distress. Stories of demonic possession or influence in children can serve as cautionary tales, warnings against the dangers of engaging with the supernatural or straying from a moral path.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Religious texts and teachings from various faiths also contain references to demonic influence, with accounts of exorcisms performed to rid individuals, including children, of demonic presence. These stories often emphasize the power of faith, prayer, and spiritual intervention in combating evil forces. While such beliefs may provide explanations for unexplained phenomena or troubling behaviors in children within certain cultural contexts, it's important to approach them with critical thinking and understanding of psychological, social, and environmental factors that may contribute to a child's well-being. So it's most likely that your kid's not being possessed by a demon.
Wait, what?
Or being attacked by a demon.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
I just assume, again, bruises, ghost. Imaginary friends,
Demons.
It all checks out.
Right. Hire a therapist to have the child have couples therapy with the demon imaginary friend.
And then ask if they do ventriloquism.
Makes sense.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show and listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, giving us a 5-star rating is super helpful, and we always appreciate it.
You can also comment on our episodes and let us know how we're doing. We would love to hear from you and see if you have any suggestions for us. And you can find us on social media using 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week.
Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
I'm gonna let you keep going.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh.